In this video, I'm going to share how I am printing these sticky notes, which are going to form part of my sticky note planner. It's kind of a working name, but I feel like it's going to stick. Now let's get to it. As part of the template, it's going to be a PDF that you get when you download this template, but a few other people have this. Maybe you've wanted to print on sticky notes or create your own. I actually created this whole template, the PDF template, which I'll put up on screen now and hopefully scroll through the 3 different pages. I created this in Canva, so you could totally create this in Canva yourself. And if you want to know how I've created this in Canva, how I've set it up, or even if I should release that Canva template as something that you can purchase so that you can then create your own sticky notes, let me know in the comments below. First page in the PDF is going to be this template page. Now I've started sticking my sticky notes on here first, but what you want to do is print out the template page first, and this just shows you where you need to position your stickies. So once you've printed out the template page, you're going to want to fill it with stickies, which, as I've said, I've just started doing. And my top tip here is don't peel your stickies from the top, because if you peel them from the top of the stack, peel it from the top of the stack, what's going to happen is you're going to peel it like this, and it's going to end up, I'm not sure if you can quite see that, it's going to end up curling, and the sticky side is here and it's curling up. So when I stick it on my sheet, it's just going to keep curling up and maybe even jamming my printer, and that's no bueno. So what you actually want to do is turn your sticky pad over. So if this is the top where it's not sticky, you want to turn the sticky pad over to the back, remove the backing sheet and peel the sticky notes from the bottom. And what happens when you do that is it still curves, but now it is curving in a way that means it's going around. So the sticky side is here, and when I stick it down onto my sheet of paper, it's going to do a better job of laying flat. It's not going to curl up and what have you. You do want to use good quality sticky notes for doing this, just so that when you stick them all down, they are actually going to stay stuck, and when you take them back off again to place them in your planner, they've still got enough stick on them. So I would say go for better quality sticky notes if you can. And these are just your standard 3x3, so that's 3x3 inch stickies, although mine seem to sort of sit a little bit within my template. There is a little bit of a border around the edges, so I've been shortchanged on these sticky notes, maybe, I don't know, but within my template setup there is a little bit of wiggle room, so you don't have to worry about it printing off the edge so much. So now that we've filled this sheet up with our 6 sticky notes, with the sticky band stuck at the top of the box area, and you'll see there is a little guide under there to say place sticky band here, so you know where you want to stick it. You're going to want to run this through your printer with your chosen design. Now my top tip here is I actually use a rear fed printer, and the great thing about the rear fed printer is I will take my sheet like this, I will turn it upside down, and then I will place it in the printer tray, and it will go through and print out. So it makes it really easy to know which way around I need to put my sheets of paper in order to print them. Just turn it upside down, design facing towards me, run it through the printer. And I feel with a rear fed printer, so one where, and I'll bring up on screen now my actual printer setup so you can see it. The beauty of this style of printer is that it can take thicker paper stocks a lot better, because you're not having to run the paper around a series of rollers. So with a tray fed printer, so one where you open a tray in the front of it, you put your paper in, you close the tray, and it goes through the printer that way, what's going to happen is you're going to place your sheet of paper into that tray, and it's going to go through the printer, and it's going to go round a set of rollers and then come out the front of it. And it's that curving around those rollers to come out the front that's really going to mess things up. You're not going to be able to put thicker paper stocks through it, and it might even come a little bit weird when you're trying to put sticky notes through it, because you really have to make sure you are placing the paper in the correct way. There's still going to be a chance that when it goes around those rollers, these sticky notes may print off. So if you've got a front tray fed printer, I would say proceed with caution. But if you've got a rear fed printer, you're good to go, in my opinion. But you know, this isn't like, don't blame me if it goes wrong kind of thing. All printers are different, but I know tray fed printers are always going to be better. No, rear fed printers are always going to be better than the tray fed printers, simply because of having to go around the rollers. But if you are going to test this in a tray fed printer where it's got to go around rollers, I would say it's going to need to go in upside down, so your design and your stickies are facing down, because it's going to go through towards the back of the printer, around the rollers, and come back out the front. So it's needing to go design facing down, and the top of the sheet going in towards the back of the printer. I hope that that is making sense, because without having a tray fed printer myself, I can't successfully demo that properly to you. So I hope that is making sense, but let's move on. Now I am going to switch to my screencast so that you can see some of the settings that you're going to need to make sure you've set correctly in Adobe Acrobat, so everything prints out correctly. Okay, so let's jump to the settings. Okay, so here we are. Hopefully we've got me somewhere in one of the corners. Woohoo! And we can see my Adobe PDF open, well, my Adobe Acrobat Reader open with my PDF with the template. And as I said, this is let's just reduce the size of this so it fits nicely. There we go. So this is a 3-paged PDF. We've got the template page, as you can see it here, and then on the second page we've got design number 1, which is today's top 3, and in the third page we've got the reminders template. Now what you want to do is print out the first page, just the first page on its own first. And the process that we're about to do here is going to be the same for the other pages once you've used this template page to stick down your sticky notes. So when it's time to print, we're just going to click the print button to open up the print dialog box. So here is the print dialog box, and we're going to make sure we've got a couple of settings set here. So within my properties, I'm just going to make sure I have the correct paper size set. Now this is available in 2 different sizes. I've created an A4 version for everyone who is not in the US, although I know some of you in the US do use A4 paper. So we've got the A4 size template, and then there's also a US letter size template. So I'm just going to make sure I've got A4 set, it's plain paper, the print quality can be standard, and I'm just going to hit OK. Oh my gosh, did you hear that? It's like a truck, full on like honk truck horn going. Anyway, it's completely sidetracked. Like, oh look, a squirrel. Anyway, back to the program. So I've made sure I've got the correct paper size set. That's either going to be A4 if you're using A4 paper, or US letter if you're using if you're in the US and you're using US letter size paper. And the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure you set the page. You can either click current if you are currently on page number 1, or you can just type in page 1 into the print dialog pages to print area. And then finally, you're going to want to make sure that when it comes to page sizing and handling, that you have got it set to actual size. This is really important, because if you do it to fit, what it's going to do is going to look at what the printable area is. So it's going to see where the print margins are set for your printer, and most printers have a print margin set where it will print within those margins, and it's usually like 5 to 10 millimeter border around the edge of the page. If you've got a borderless printing facility within your printer, that's not going to be set as default, and it's still going to affect what happens when you set it to fit. So we don't want it to fit the page, we want it to print the design at actual size. So it's not going to mess with any of the proportions, it's not going to shrink it up, or more specifically, if you have very small print margins, it's not going to shrink it down. So as long as you've checked that you've got the correct paper size selected and you've set it to actual size, and you're printing just the first page, remember we only want page 1 for now, you are good to go. So once you've done that, you will end up with your template that you can place your sticky notes down onto, and then you're going to want to place this template back in your printer. As I discussed before, it's going to, you need to make sure that you're doing it correctly depending on whether you have a rear fed printer or a tray fed printer. So maybe just experiment with that before you put the sticky notes through. Maybe try printing just on one sticky note, just having one sticky note on there, because you don't want to end up with a serious headache of a paper jam going on if you get things wrong. And do make sure that you stick your sticky notes with the sticky band where it says to stick the sticky band as well, because again, it could cause paper jams. Again, this is like, use this at your own caution, okay? Don't come after me if you fluff it up, all right? Okay, so once you've printed out your template, you've stuck your sticky notes down, you've checked that you are actually positioning this sheet in your printer setup as intended to get it to print onto these sticky notes, you're ready to come in. And again, it's the same principle as before. You're just going to click on the print button, wait for the print dialog window to open up. Make sure that under properties, you have got it set to the correct paper size, which will either be A4 or US letter, depending on what size paper you are printing on. Once you've checked the paper size, you're going to want to print either page 2 or page 3 of the design. So if I want to print the today's top 3 stickies, I'm going to just type in page 2, and that will bring up that design. And if I did, no, we're just going to print one. I'm going to do one at a time. Again, we want to check the actual size is selected, and then we can just go ahead and print. And what that will do is print onto these. So I'm going to, it's a shame you can't see this. Hang on. Let me go back to, oh no, I can't switch. This is annoying. Oh, I'm still getting to grips with this whole screencast thing. And you don't want to hear my printer printing out anyway, do you? Is it plugged in? It is plugged in. Okay. So let's go cheerio. Set that to print. Fingers crossed that we have got this all set up correctly. Printer's just warming up, checking through the print heads. Probably should have switched the printer on before so that it could run through all of its checks prior to this and not be quite so noisy in the background. But there we go. And it is coming through, and ta-da! We have got our bank of sticky notes printed, and then all you need to do is peel these off, stack them up neatly, stick them into your planner, and you have what I call a sticky note planner. Again, that was a working title, and it's kind of stuck, no pun intended, or maybe just a little bit, because I've got that kind of weird dad joke humor, I guess.